All right, this is Big G, or Gene, or Gino, or Dad, however you might know me. And this is lesson number 5. We're going to talk about charts and candlestick basics and scanning for stock. So kind of a lot in this one little video lesson. So let's talk about charts. As I introduced to you before, this is stockcharts.com. It's a free service. I subscribe to it just because I can have default settings and things that I like to have on here that I don't have to reset every time. But you can look at stock charts on finviz.com. We'll look at it in a few minutes. All the brokerage sites have charting. A lot of people use Thinkorswim. I use Thinkorswim some. I think there's a free stockcharts.com that you can use. It's pretty good. Anyway, so this is stockcharts.com. And when you look at a chart, never mind, this is an indicator called the RSI, which I'll talk about later. So never mind this part, but this is a candlestick chart of Apple. And we talked about candlesticks earlier, but when you look at the chart, you'll notice that at the bottom there's the time. This is a daily chart. See, it says daily here. And so each candle represents a day. And this one goes all the way to today, February the 7th, and then all the way back to middle of June. And you can, on stockcharts.com, you can look at a daily chart. You can look at a weekly chart. You can look at a 5-minute chart. Now I think you have to pay for the 5-minute chart to get what they call intraday charts. That's where the subscription comes in. I just remember that part. But anyway, truthfully, you just need to look at the daily chart and weekly charts. You don't need the 5-minute unless you're day trading. So you've got the date at the bottom. You also have volume at the bottom of this chart. You see the volume down here, the big volume days as we've had lately. The red volume means that it was a bearish day. The gray means it's a bullish day. And then of course you have the stock price on the right side of the chart. Now I prefer candlestick charts, and most traders that I follow prefer candlestick charts, but some traders like bar charts. And bar charts are similar to candlestick charts. As you can see, it does look different. And a bar chart is basically, you got the candle, it's like this, where you've got the high and you got the low. You got the opening price, the closing price. That's on a bullish candle. On a bearish candle, it's going to be colored red or maybe black. And the difference here is you still got the high, you still got the low, but this is the opening price. This is the closing price. On a bar chart, you would have the opening price on the left and the closing price on the right. So this would be a bullish candle. It opened here and it closed here. So this is the open and the close of the day. This is the high of the day. This is the low of the day. A bearish bar chart would look something like this. Crooked line there, low of the day, high of the day, opens here, closes here. So you can see on this bar chart of Apple, a black bar is a bullish day and a red bar is a bearish day. So that's the difference in candlesticks and bar charts. And then of course the ones you probably see the most because you see them on TV are line charts, and it's just simply that, just simply a line. It's kind of hard to trade with a line chart, at least in a short-term swing trade. So I prefer candlesticks. Most of the people that I follow prefer candlesticks. And let me get this back to where we had it, candlesticks only. And that's a little bit about charting. Now also, I want to talk to you about candlesticks and candlestick patterns. If you go to Google and just type candlestick patterns and hit images, you'll get tons, as you can see, of information about candlesticks and candlestick patterns. Here's one that I've looked at before. I actually have a hard copy of this. Just a good little guideline with some bullish candlestick patterns, neutral, and bearish candlestick patterns. You see right here in the middle is what I explained to you earlier, a bearish candle with a low here, high here, open here, close here. Bullish candle, low here, high here, open here, close here. The candlestick has several different names. As you can see, they call these tails or wicks. They call them shadows. I tend to call them wicks just because it makes sense. Candlestick has a wick, or a candle has a wick. But some people call them shadows, some people call them tails, and of course this is the body of the candle. So that's how to look at a candlestick. And then you've got bullish candlestick patterns. You got a hammer, you got the inverted hammer, you got dragonfly, doji, all these things. I'm not going to go through all of them just because of time, but you can see here there's a lot of different patterns. There's actually more than this, but these are probably the most popular, the most common. Well, let's just look for a minute at, let me go back to the Apple chart and see what we can find here. I saw some earlier. I was trying to look for like maybe something kind of obvious. There you go. See this guy right here? It's called a hanging man. See, the hanging man is a bearish candlestick pattern. Hanging man shows up in an uptrend at the top of an uptrend, and he's hanging up there, and it's the beginning of a downtrend. So if you see this on Facebook, you got an uptrend, you had that guy kind of hanging up there at the top, and then it led to a little downtrend. Let's see. Go to GDX. Here's a hammer down at the bottom. It's kind of hard to see. It's a small little line. That's called a hammer. That's a bullish pattern, candlestick pattern. At the bottom of a downtrend, you see a small body, you see a long wick or shadow, and it tends to go up not long after that. And there's a little hammer pattern. Not much of a body there. That would be maybe a doji hammer, they might call it. A lot of times when you see a long wick at the bottom or a long wick at the top of a candle, typically means it's going to reverse. So if you see this is what they would call a shooting star. Here's a shooting star. You got an uptrend, you got a high tail there, or wick, and it goes back down. Go back to GDX. At the top of this trend, you got that shooting star. It tried to hit that high, but it shot back down. There's actually a tweezer top there too. They call that a tweezer top. Is that on here? Yep, tweezer top, where the high is the same on these 2 days. And so you see you had that's a very bearish pattern right there, and obviously it led to a nice little gain there if you were to place a put option or play that short. Well, how do you find these things? Well, you go to FinViz. I introduced FinViz to you earlier, finviz.com. It's a free service. You have to put up with some ads, but a lot of neat stuff on here. If you just go to Screener, and you see there's 7,149 stocks here, and you want to narrow that down. Let's say you want to go with some major stocks that trade over 2 million shares a day. And so you hit that narrows it down to 752. And let's say you're just looking for stocks, say under $50. Now it narrowed it down to 520. And then you can just kind of start scanning over and looking at stocks. Now sometimes, I don't know if it's my computer or FinViz, they're supposed to pop up right here. And if it doesn't pop up like it should, you just click it and it takes you there. So there's American Eagle. And that's a good looking chart. You want to look for charts that are moving up, obviously. And so you can do that on the screener. You can do that if you go back to the home page. You can go down here, and we'll look at this maybe more later, all these different signals and things, like channel up. And here's a stock, biotech, something, never heard of this one. That's a good looking chart. It's just a nice going up and down, but a nice kind of a 45-degree angle. So you want to find the chart like that if you can. That's not a high volume stock, and we'll talk about volume later, but you want to trade I don't think that's high enough anyway. I guess some would trade that, but you want to trade stocks that are have a high volume so that you know that when you want to sell or buy, there's going to be a buyer or seller on the other side. So I think that's about it. Like I said, Google Candlestick Patterns, images. You'll find this and tons of other things like it. And just start studying how candlesticks work, how they look. And then go to just random stocks and just see, like here's Goldman Sachs, and just see if you can find some of these patterns on these charts. And you'll be amazed as you learn this, how often you see these things show up on the charts. All right, that's the end of lesson number 5.